you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Thursday, December 28th. Happy holidays to you all. How is everyone doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. And it is 1 minute past 10 o'clock. I'm doing a lot better than the Montreal Canadiens, who lost by a score of 5-3 to the Carolina Hurricanes tonight in Carolina. We're going to break it all down. The Sick Podcast, of course, is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Brought to you in part by Playground, over 600 machines, poker tournaments, and Playground casino games, daily promotions, and unmatched customer service. Why go anywhere else? It's located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. And, of course, it's brought to you in part by these guys, La Bite à TB. La Bite à TB, of course, brewed in Quebec, a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bite à TB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bite à TB, embrace your true nature. Without further ado, let's bring in our guy, Grant McCagg of Recruits and Recruits.ca. What's going on?
Hey, Tony. Oh, that was a tough one to lose in the last 5 minutes there. I thought there should have been a penalty called on that hit on Slafkovsky, and there wasn't. And then there was a penalty called against the Habs, and that was kind of the end of her right there.
Look, I think the Habs, I think they deserve a lot of credit because they showed a lot of heart in this game coming back the way they did. Why don't we do this for Agnello and Sammy and Juliana and Master Control? Actually, if they can, bring up the lines for the Montreal Canadiens in this hockey game tonight. I think we have them. There we go. Suzuki with us once again, Slafkovsky on his right and Caulfield on his left. Evans with Anderson on his right and Monahan on his left. Dvorak with Gallagher on his right and Armia on his left. Stevens with Yolonen on his right and Pizzette on his left. Matheson, Savard, Gooley, Barron, Strubel, Harris, and Caden Primo was your starting goaltender in tonight's hockey game. Once again, Caden Primo was your starting goaltender in tonight's hockey game, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool, but we're going to get to that in just a second. All right, okay, so now why don't we bring up the score sheet so we can tell you the way it all went down and who scored? All right, Svechnikov in the first period. Fast makes it 2-0. Stevens narrows the lead to 2-1. And Michael Matheson ties it at 2 with 4 seconds left in period number 1. Why don't we keep this up, Grant, if we can? So like that we can get to every goal at a time and we can break it down. I have my notes that I'm going to refer to here, okay? Goal number 1 in this hockey game, Brent Burns flips it out of the defensive zone, goes over a couple of sticks. The next thing you know, the Carolina Hurricanes are entering the Montreal Canadiens zone. And it ends up to Teravainen, who finds Aho. He gives it to Brent Burns, a quick wrist shot, deflected by Svechnikov. And what I didn't like on this play, Grant, is that Suzuki's behind Svechnikov. There's no cross-check to get him out of the way. There's no pushing. There's just, I'm here and I'm going to watch you. And it doesn't work like that. And Svechnikov made him play, deflecting that puck. But, you know, there's a lot of things I liked in this hockey game, Grant, because the Canadiens, you know, they competed. At one point, they were trying to go toe-to-toe with Carolina. But there's a few things I didn't like. Mm-hmm. And I like the number 1 line tonight, especially without the puck. I thought Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky tonight, without the puck, I thought they were completely lost, Grant.
Well, Aho's like that's 8 points in 2 games for Aho.
You're right.
I have him in my pool, so well, bittersweet, I guess, in some regard. But I mean, every now and then you're going to get outplayed by the Aho line. That's quite a line, right? And I mean, tonight was a night where, I mean, the Suzuki line played more than 20 minutes, and the majority of it was matched up against Aho's line, and they came out second best. Fair to say tonight.
They really did, Grant. I thought they were outplayed big time, and you're right. Aho's, that's make it 2 straight 4-point games for him. Svechnikov, ever since he's returned from injury, is absolutely on fire. Teravainen's been the colder of the 3, and I know that because I have him in my pool. I have Aho in one pool, and I have Teravainen in the other pool. I wish I would have had Aho in both and not Teravainen. I just expected a lot more from Teravainen. Let's get to goal number 2, and that's Jesper Fast. Assists go to Aho and Brent Burns on that one. And on that goal, and I'm going to once again refer to my notes here. Burns takes a shot. It's tipped by Aho, and Savard is on Aho. And once again, Aho gets a tip, and then Jesper Fast, there's a loose puck that just lays there for him, and he's able to jam it home. On that play, I thought that Caulfield and Slafkovsky almost like didn't know who to get, who to watch, who to pick up.
Yeah.
And that's why I started by this whole thing by saying without the puck tonight, I thought that number 1 line was a little bit lost.
Well, based on one, I mean, you're going to have the odd. I thought Slafkovsky had a decent game defensively tonight, but if you want to, point to one play, that would be the one, I guess, where, you would have liked a little more from him. But I thought it was more Suzuki and Caulfield tonight maybe weren't up to speed. I mean, Caulfield was even doubtful for the game, right?
Yeah.
There's something bothering him right now, I think, because he just didn't have that jump tonight, I don't think, and it showed out there. I don't know that they should have, I realize that that's their top line. It's been their top line for the last 10 games. We saw in the last time I was on, the advanced stats were crazy good in their favor, but I think tonight maybe they could have cut back their ice time a bit. I thought the Dvorak line was rolling. Second period especially, they were the best line on the ice, and maybe they should have got a little more ice time.
I'll tell you who else I thought was pretty good tonight. I think it's the best game that Mitchell Stevens has played with the Canadiens.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
I think he's been decent. Like last couple of games, especially. Well, obviously when you score a goal, it's good. But has he not matched Evans's total for the year in his last 2 games for goals? Are they both now with 2 goals?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you another guy. Speaking that I brought up a positive, and I'm going to bring up another one.
Yeah.
And I'm probably sounding like a broken record here, but Jaden Strubel was really good tonight again.
Yeah.
I
noticed they almost got more ice time than the Gooley and Barron, who were -3.
Yeah.
And I didn't think
they struggled.
Yeah. Honestly, and I tweeted it out today, I think over the past month, Strubel's been better than Gooley. It's not just been a game or two. It's been like overall in the last month. And I mean, that, that's going to happen with young players where one's going to play better than another at times. But I think it's interesting that at the start of his career, at least in Montreal, that he's been every bit as good as Gooley. And I know I mentioned it on the last time I was on with you, but
some people were upset with us. They thought that the fact that we were pumping up Strubel, what we were doing was taking a shot at Jack Guy, and no, we weren't. I mean,
no.
And by the way, if we say that Jaden Strubel has been more defensively responsible this season in the games that he's played compared to Jack Guy, that he's been less of a liability, that hasn't really made mistakes, that he's been doing all the little things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how people can't say it's a fact without thinking that it's a shot at Jack Guy. It's what Strubel's been better than Jack Guy. That's it.
People have a tendency to look at the glass half empty, right? I mean, I mentioned something the other day about, in studio, they had Cheryl Pounder, Duthie, and who was the third? But Bob McKenzie, of course. And I just said, these guys are fantastic. And then every response to the tweet was, well, what about O-Dog? Like, because O-Dog wasn't there at that time. It wasn't a shot that O-Dog's no good. It was just an observation that those three are excellent when they're together in the studio, But people, if you praise one, that means you're not praising another, and then they look at that,
Wow.
and it doesn't. That's not, that's not what you're not always taking a shot at someone else.
Well, a lot of people are very sensitive
about someone else.
A lot of people are very sensitive right now when it comes to Jack Guy because he's a fan favorite and because he's got an element maybe that some of the others don't have. And
you gotta love the kid. I mean, how do you not like the story? I
mean, everybody loves Jack Guy, but I mean, the fact that we say that Strubel's played better than him in the games that he's played this year. I mean, you just said that Strubel's played better than Goalie in the last month. Does that mean that we don't like Goalie? That doesn't mean that. It means that Strubel's been better. That's it. That's it's been really good, man. He's been really, really good. Yeah. Anyway, Strubel gets the puck out of the zone, and Pezzetta's doing a real good job here. He's screening, but a great play by Ylonen. You're not going to see Ylonen getting an assist on Mitchell Stevens' goal to narrow that lead, but Ylonen gets to a loose puck behind the net, and he passes it back to the blue line to Strubel. And Strubel's shot doesn't make its way through. It goes off of Pezzetta, and it just lays there for Mitchell Stevens, who's able to shoot at home. That narrows the lead to 2-1. The Canadians go on a power play late in period number 1. It goes from Caden Primo to Sean Monahan, and then Michael Matheson. It goes for a wraparound. And as he goes for a wraparound, the goalie's that movement wasn't very, very fast. Who was it? Slavin, I think. Slavin tried to block off the side of the net that was open because the goalie wasn't able to get there in time. And Matheson's wraparound goes in off of Slavin and in, and that ties the game at 2. And what a big goal that is, with 4 seconds left. But once again, Ranta's movement didn't look very, very good on that one. So you got a tie game of 2-2 after 1 period of play. They go to period number 2.
Funny, Matheson was on the power play. I don't know if you saw it that way too, but he looks for Caulfield all the time. And even when he's covered, Slav is open over on the right side. I don't know how many times tonight. And he wouldn't get it over to him. I mean, the previous 2 games, Slafkovsky got power play. He generated power play goals. 2. Yeah. And then again tonight, they're back to just, we can't pass it to the young lad. It's got to go to Caulfield every time. There's 2 Carolina guys standing right there in between Matheson and Caulfield. And he waited and waited and waited for Caulfield to get it until he finally got checked. So I was, but then at the end of the period, he scores that power play goal where he goes and does the wraparound. So I guess all was forgiven.
I want to give out the number, by the way, because tonight we're going to get to your phone calls at 1-888-585-SICK. That's 1-888-585-7425. And thanks everyone for watching on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter Live. We're back after obviously taking the last couple of days off. We were off yesterday, the 27th. We were off on Tuesday, the 26th, and we were off on Monday, the 25th, obviously Christmas Day. And we were off because the Montreal Canadiens weren't playing. The NHL had shut it down for a couple of days, and the Canadiens were back tonight, and that's why we're back, and we'll be back tomorrow as well. And just keep in mind, we're also going to be off on January 1st, all right? So on New Year's Day, on January 1st, we will be off. I want to let everyone know that I'm leaving for Portugal. All right. So I'm going to spend some time with my son and watch a couple of his games. And so while I'm going to be in Portugal, I'm still going to be hosting the Sick podcast on non-game nights. On game nights, of course, you'll excuse me. I'm not going to do them. It'll likely be Shane Gaumont and Matthew O'Hayan, and they're still going to have, our long list of collaborators joining them, and they're going to have some guests. But obviously, I'm not going to be doing those because, for a 7:00 game, it's midnight in Portugal. And by the time the game's over, it's going to be 3:00 in the morning in Portugal. So I'm not going to be doing those games. So you'll give me a pass on this one, but I'm going to spend some time with my son. I'm going to go watch a couple of his games. There's going to be about 4 or 5 sick podcasts that I'll be doing from Portugal. I'm going to be bringing the laptop. I'll be bringing the microphone. I'll be bringing the stand and the headphones and everything else that goes with it. And, in all transparency, I'm going to record them a little bit earlier in the day, but we're still going to be on top of, I'm going to wait for Montreal Canadiens practices to be over and everything to be over and all that stuff, so that we can have all the reports, so we can have all the latest. And, our long list of great collaborators will be joining me for those shows, and I'm going to be bringing you the Sick Podcast from Portugal. All right. So I wanted everyone to know that. Okay. Let's go to Jesper Fast. Speaking of things I didn't like, and I told you that I didn't like Suzuki, rather complacent on the first goal against. I thought that Caulfield and Slaf were a little bit lost on the second goal, and now here's the third goal. Jesper Fast to give the Carolina Hurricanes a 3-2 lead. It was the only goal that was scored in period number 2, a minute 29 in. Grant, Yoel Armia and Caden Gooley both got bumped off the puck in the defensive zone, and they were just very soft on the play. They just, and you see Carolina was aggressive, and they were bumping, and they were, finishing their hits. And in the end, it's a bang bang play, and the puck ends up on Jesper Fast, and he's able to drill it home. And I didn't like Armia, and I didn't like Gooley on that play, Grant.
Yeah, I think tonight we saw a good Armia and invisible Armia, like a bit of both. He was kind of it was a split personality Armia tonight. I thought he had some good later on in the game. He had some good cycles and created, used his size. When he decides to use his size, he's effective. But certainly on that play, he every now and then he falls asleep, unfortunately. And
I'm going to call him the light switch from now on, because the light switch, you turn it on, you turn it off, you turn it on, you turn it off. Can we not find a switch that's always on? Hey, you talked about him protecting the puck, and you talked about some of his cycles, which at one point he was a horse. Yeah. There was one shift. Did you see the way he gathered speed through the neutral zone, and he carried the puck, and then he saw that he didn't have anywhere to go. He dumped it in. He went after it. He went to retrieve it. He looked like he was a man on a mission. I'm like, can't this guy be like this all the time?
Yeah, no, he can't. And that's always been the issue with him, aside from hockey, average or below average hockey sense.
Josh Anderson, when it wasn't going in, it wasn't going in. And over the last couple of weeks, it's been going in for him. And he makes a great play. It's Brady Shea who tries to get a shot on net. He blocks it. He takes off. He's off to the races. I think he leads Montreal Canadiens players in breakaways this season. He hadn't converted on most of them, but he chose to bring it to the backhand and try and beat Ranta through the 5-hole. And as Ranta opened up the pads a little bit, it slowly made its way over the line. That's a big goal for him. That ties the game at 3. And then, Grant, the play that I think is the Accent Insurance Solutions moment of the game. I think it's that one. It's the goal that ends up being the eventual game-winning goal in this hockey game. For me, that is the Accent Insurance Solutions moment of the game. And, Svechnikov ends up getting his hat trick in this hockey game. And how does he get his hat trick? We talked about Nick Suzuki before. Sebastian Aho in an offensive zone faceoff, he beats Suzuki on the draw. Clean. And it goes back to Pesce. Pesce finds on the off wing Svechnikov, who one-timer, And it's a great execution, and it's a set play. You can tell you win the faceoff, goes back to the D, and Svechnikov set up for the one-timer. I thought Caden Primo was good, Grant. I thought he should have had that one. I'd like to have your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. And then also the goal that was called back. I didn't think he was great on that play either. But he made some big saves. A little inconsistent. That's been Primo's. That's been the pattern for most of his NHL call-ups for sure. It's funny you look at those stats, and I notice Anderson with his sixth 5 in his last 5 games.
Yeah.
Svechnikov up to 6. Guess what? He's got 5 in his last 5 games. He only scored 1 in his first 16. So they've had very similar paths this year when it comes to scoring goals.
All right. Okay. We're going to give a shout out. We talked about Accent Insurance Solutions. And, of course, the moment of the game, we welcomed them, give or take 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we're still excited that they're on board as a new sponsor of the Sick Podcast. And all insurance isn't created equal. You know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business. And it's funny every time you see Accent's phone number, I immediately think of Sergio Momesso because their number is 514-363-3636. And I was driving around today. Let me see if I can. I was driving around today and, or was I? No, I was actually, my wife was driving and I was in the passenger. Was it my wife or who was I with? Oh, I was with Fast Phil. I was with Fast Phil, my neighbor. And it was yesterday. I tend to lose the days when, during the holiday season. And look at this. Look at this, what we have here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I saw Accent Insurance Solutions on the back of a bus there. Look at that. Oh, right on the back of the bus. All right. Anyway, so it's pretty cool. And once again, the number is 514-363-3636. So I told my wife, I said, Accent Insurance Solutions is on board, and we got a call scheduled with them. For all our insurance needs. You do the same. 514-363-3636. All right. So that's the game-winning goal. And then what happens after that is Juraj Slafkovsky gets drilled into the boards. Marty St. Louis was not very happy. Slafkovsky was slow to get up. As soon as he made his way to the bench, he tried telling everyone, yeah, I think I'm okay. But you saw some worried looks on that bench, and Marty St. Louis looking over at the referee saying, that's a headshot, man. That's a headshot. You started the show saying you thought there should have been a penalty on the play?
Yeah. He hit him. I think his helmet hit him in the head is what happened. So, but that's hitting the guy up. That's a headshot, right?
Yeah, that's Nason. I'm trying to remember. I think that he also hit a Montreal Canadian player last year, did he not?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. I'm thinking Evans.
Yeah.
Or Dvorak. He hit Dvorak last year.
Okay.
Yeah, he hit Dvorak.
Did you see Caulfield go up to him? Were you expecting Cole to drop the gloves there, or?
Well, listen,
up to Nason after the hit.
I don't want Cole to drop the gloves,
no.
Especially coming off of shoulder surgery.
Yeah,
but Grant,
well, with a guy that's 6'2" as well, right?
No, but
no.
Look, but if that's the Boston Bruins, I'm not saying that they're going to drop the gloves and they're going to beat the guy down, but the Bruins, they've cultivated this culture that has gone on for a longest time that even if they don't have the number one tough guy on the team, it's everyone stands up for each other and lets the opposition know that they're not going to. The Canadians, okay, I get it. There was a couple of minutes left in the game. You got a really close hockey game. No one wants to do anything, but I mean,
who were the defensemen? On that,
the guy just hit you like the first pick overall in
I
his
know.
draft.
I just was curious. I didn't see it in the shot at the time, but I was wondering who the two defensemen were because they never even. I expected them to come into certainly if Jacky had been out there, there's an example.
Yeah.
He would have addressed it one way or the other. But I'm not sure who the two defensemen were, but they didn't really get into it. Certainly, they can't be expecting Suzuki or Caulfield to go after Nason, right?
So this is what I'm trying to go back as we speak. I got the TV set up here. I got a real nice setup in this podcast studio. It's pretty cool. I got the fridge 2 feet away. I got the bathroom 4 feet away. I got the TV 1 foot away here. It's pretty cool.
You got the beer. You got the beer 6 inches away.
I got the Labita TV right here, and let me just see. I might see it here. All right, if someone could help us out in the chat here, because of course, I didn't see who was on the ice in terms of the defense, and I'm hoping that I can get to it here.
What was about 5 minutes left?
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, anyway, I can't get to it right now.
Okay. I was just curious because I thought I was expecting a defenseman to come in there. I think if Strubel would have been on the ice, I'm guessing that he wasn't, but I think he would have addressed Nason, And funny, I talked about Strubel at we don't know if he can fight or not, and then the next game he gets in his first scrap there. I mean, it wasn't but you had to I mean, he can handle. I talked to him. One of the reasons why I was saying that about him at the time was because I interviewed him last year, and I
know you did.
And I asked him, "Hey, did you fight in college?" No, I didn't. Did you fight in minor hockey? He said, "Well, a few scrums and a few face washers and that." I said, "Well," I said, "You play a physical style, and you're going to get challenged. Can you fight?" He says, "Oh, well," he says, I can handle myself." So, I mean, I really
gets under the opposition skin too. Did you see when Bunting took the penalty and he was trying to get Strubel off with him?
Yeah. And
the discipline by Strubel to just laugh at him and not bite.
Yeah.
And I love that. Again, there's
maturity there.
I'm not going to bring up Jack Eye. I just did. But, Jack Eye would probably bite. Probably. I'm not saying, I don't know for a fact if he would. It didn't happen, so it's hypothetical. But he would probably bite, and Strubel did not, and
erase the man advantage.
Yeah, so he's got a discipline to him that the coaching staff must absolutely love. I mean, this guy's. I gotta tell you, he's really impressing me, Jaden Strubel.
Yeah. And he just turned 22, just in September. So he's really young, first year pro. He looks like he's played 5 years in the league.
And listen, Lord knows that he was thrown under the bus on more than one occasion when he was here, when he got it wrong. But I don't hear anybody bringing up Trevor Timmins' name now. Trevor Timmins deserves a lot of credit for Jaden Strubel, man. That's his pick. Yeah,
for sure. Strubel was a great pick, as it's turned out, and Harris too for a third rounder. And I thought about it after our last podcast because I was saying, they might look at trading Harris, but I was even thinking at the time, he really is one of the 6 best defensemen, I think, and I was hoping that they'd figure something out. And I do know he played a lot. His freshman year, he played on the top pairing for Northeastern, 20-25 minutes a game on his offside. So, and he was excellent. So he can play on the right. And did we see a lot of mistakes from Harris tonight on his offside in his first game in a month and a half? I thought he was pretty steady. So nice to see him back. I mean, I love the kid. I think he's one of the nicest players I've ever met, and I'm pulling for him. And I'm glad, because honestly, I don't think Kovacevic is as good as Harris when it's all said and done. I know he's bigger, but Harris is just so smart and mobile. There's no special dimension, as far as scoring and shot and physical, but smarts and mobility. We saw it with Brock Faber. That's his go-to things, and we saw how good he is.
That guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That guy's
I'm glad he got back in, and I thought I thought Harrison and Strubel were the steadiest pairing tonight for the Canadians. Savard had might have been his least effective game since he's been back, but he's been good.
Yeah.
So, they played 25 minutes tonight. And I think maybe what you'll see, I found it interesting that basically, what they call the third pairing, Strubel and Harris, played the same time as Barron and Gooley. And I think you might see as it goes along here that they become the second pairing as far as minutes goes.
If I were a betting man, I would say that Kovacevic will be the first left-handed defenseman the Canadians will trade, and David Savard will end up being the first right-handed defenseman the Montreal Canadiens will trade. And in Savard's case, obviously, it's for that contract. And then, it will be coming to an end next year. And then I don't see them renewing that deal because, by the end of next year, I think that Logan Mailloux will end up occupying a spot on the right side. But Kovacic is a righty.
Yeah.
Which is a righty. Yeah.
I was pretty sure.
Before you even said it, I was like, okay, hold on, wait a second. He's a righty. Yeah.
Okay.
So Savard, Kovacevic, and of course Savard's contract, Kovac. That's and Justin. That's the advantage that Kovacevic has, I guess, is that right now there's a lot less traffic on the right side than there is on the left side. The left side is going to be, but yeah, Jordan Harris. You just talked about him. I mean, here's a guy who was playing the offside for the longest time.
Yeah, and I think they'll rotate those three: Harris, Barron, and Kovacevic.
Yeah,
Barron mightn't hurt for Barron to sit. He's the last few games defensively, especially. I'm not sure he's been. There's some old habits starting to creep in when he gets pressured down low. He makes some errors and stuff. I don't know that Gooley and Barron. They're both pretty inexperienced,
Yeah, I think Barron's also got the body type that every now and then he's got to sit a game. Not that he's small, not that he's overly small, but the fact that he's got some hiccups like you just talked about. You go up and you take a look for an eye in the sky every now and then. It can only help.
I think maybe. We'll see as it goes along, but I think you might see Barron and Kovacevic sort of sitting out more than Harris. We'll see, but I know they really like Harris, and I'm glad that they found, they said, well, we're going to switch him over to the right, and we're going to play who we think are our six best defensemen because Harris has a lot of experience on the right. Yeah, he's got the mobility and the smarts to pull it off. If anyone, I said it in the preseason, and I've said it in the past that he's the guy most likely to switch sides because they have too many guys on the left, and I'm glad that he got that opportunity, and I think he took advantage of it tonight.
And you have to be so smart to be a left-handed defenseman to switch over to play the right and play about 16, 17 minutes a game and not make too many mistakes and not be out of place. And who was it? Rob Ramage that said the kid could be the president of the United States if he wanted to. He's a pretty smart kid when you talk to him. Oh, yeah.
Well, like you said, he's in a restaurant with him, and, he knew Ramage knew pretty soon who the smartest guy in the room was, and it wasn't me. He always says, so
yeah,
that's his favorite line. But it's true with Harris. He's a bright kid and smart.
Let's right. Who is it? Carl says Barron is a pretty big boy. How is he small? He's big in height, but I find that he gets bumped off pucks more easily than other defensemen. He's not small. I should have said that, but he's more. I find he's weaker. I find he gets bumped off pucks. Mind you, Caden Gooley's very strong, and tonight Caden Gooley got bumped off a puck as well. So,
I think Gooley might actually be more slender than. Barron's kind of thick. I don't think he's he's 6'2" and fairly thick, but yeah, he does get bumped off.
But does he play 6'2" and fairly thick? He doesn't.
No, exactly. He doesn't. But again, how old is Barron? Is he 22?
Yeah, 22, 23.
Yeah, well, no, he's either 21 or 22. I think he's still pretty young. He must be 22. Yeah. So, and not a heck of a lot of heck of a lot of experience. He turned 22 in November, Tony. So he's a young 22.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, he's a young 22 for sure.
And he can go back down to the minors, and that would, it's a possibility too. If he struggles a bit, send him back down. He's not waiver eligible, and that might be a move they look at if Harris keeps playing well, and when Barron sits out, Kovacevic comes back in and plays well. You never know. So, and I still think Lindstrom can play too. So it's a pleasant problem to have. It's funny now if Harris stays on the right side and plays well, suddenly the right side is fairly deep. So that's not a bad thing either.
Let's get to the schedule for the rest of December. There's only 2 more games left for the Montreal Canadiens. On Saturday night, they're going to be in Florida. And the one on Sunday, you would think is going to mean a lot to Marty St. Louis. It's not the first time they're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning since he's been hired. Of course, they played him a couple of times. But it's always fun, I would imagine, for Marty to go back to Tampa. But that game in Tampa is going to be their 3rd game in 4 nights, travel included. I mean, so on the 27th, you fly out, you go to Carolina, you play in Carolina on the 28th. After the game, you fly out, you get to Florida, you play in Florida on the 30th, and then 2 games in 2 nights, 3 games in 4 nights. That one there is going to be really tough, I think, on Sunday night. I think that one's going to be really tough. But,
Sure.
They compete. I mean, the Canadians were there tonight. I mean, Carolina was clearly better, yes. Carolina deserved to win the game, yes. But they were clutching and clawing their way back into the hockey game, the Canadians tonight.
The Canadians have held their own with some really good teams on the road this year. They started the year off against Toronto, lost 6-5 in a shootout or something like that. They went into Vegas and lost in overtime. Going to Carolina tonight, and if not for a couple of, it could easily have gone to overtime too. I thought it was going to, and just one mistake late in the game and they lose. But they've been quite competitive this year against some of the top home teams in the league, and I think that's not only encouraging for the rest of this season, but the future as well.
Yeah. A tweet from Eric Engels 2 minutes ago. I'll expand on it in my post-game piece at Sportsnet, but not expecting any discipline for Stefan Nason for his hit on Uri Slafkovsky. Grant, Slafkovsky last year, what had to happen happened. A young player in the fastest league in the world who was a bigger body than most players he had played against going into the big league. You have your head down every now and then. It's a habit that's hard. It's hard to break. I thought he did a great job of it this season. He didn't see Nason coming on this one. His head. I'm watching the replays. I don't know if his head was down as much so as he didn't see him coming. His head wasn't really down all that much, but anyway.
It happens to every player, Tony. It's such a fast league. He was leaning forward to get the puck and hit at the same time. I mean, it happens. I don't think you can read anything into it that he's keeps his head down all the time or he's not aware of guys on the ice. I mean, we've seen this year. That's probably the first time, one of the few times he's been knocked down at all this year. And he went in the corners with Burns and outmuscled him. He's done that with a few of the biggest guys in the league this year where it just, what's he going to be like when he's 22 in the corners against these guys? He's going to be a load, I'll tell you.
Yeah. The good news is that he passed the concussion test.
All right. Good.
That's the good news. Of course, though, I say that you got to be careful because tomorrow morning, sometimes you can pass the concussion test and, the next morning you wake up and you have a headache. Yeah. Or you wake up and you're nauseous a bit. And that's a sign that, that's a sign that that you probably are concussed after all. But I mean, I'm sure Canadiens fans would take it knowing that he passed the concussion test. I mean, that's very, very good news.
Was he knocked out, do you think? He was certainly not moving too much for a couple seconds there, but I've noticed before when he gets hit pretty good, he tends to stay down. And that was to his I mean, if he'd have got up a little quicker, they wouldn't even send him for concussion protocol, I don't think. But because he laid there for motionless for a few seconds, you know, you got to send him. You got to send him off to concussion protocol. As much as he didn't want to. Well, if he didn't want to, he shouldn't have laid. He shouldn't have laid on the ice if he wasn't out, and I don't think he was, or he probably wouldn't have passed the concussion test. Then he probably should have got up a little quicker. So
he was. He got his bell rung. He got his bell rung.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he had him with his helmet right in the face, right? So that never feels good.
Hey, did you see this tonight? I mean, this is what terrible news. The passing of Reggie Savage. Did you see that?
Yeah, Rick Springhetti tweeted something about that, and I was 53 years old. Was there any details or?
He had a very aggressive cancer.
Oh wow, yeah.
I remember. I don't know what cancer he had, but
it's too bad.
The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League actually tweeted about it.
When I think of Reggie Savage, I think World Juniors. You know, the World Juniors are going on right now. Reggie might have been the peak of his whole career, was just him playing in the World Juniors and being a difference maker. I thought that he'd have just a really, really solid NHL career, and it didn't really turn out that way for him. But as a junior, he was a heck of a junior, and he helped Canada. I remember him being just an integral part of Canadian junior teams.
Yeah, and of course he played for a couple of teams, one of which was the Quebec Nordiques.
Yeah. Washington, I think, was it Washington that drafted him?
Yes.
Brought him up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the Washington Capitals for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember I call him Reggie, but Reginald, because if memory serves me well, and I could be wrong, but at one point he was a LaSalle boy. So we're from at one point, and so when we were growing up, he was a big hit. He was a talk of LaSalle at one point. So I don't know if he was born in LaSalle or just was living in LaSalle at one point, but he was drafted by the Washington Capitals, round 1, 15th overall in the 1988 NHL draft. He had played his Quebec Major Junior Hockey with the Victoriaville Tigre, and then onto the AHL, Capitals, a little bit of AHL, back to the Capitals, from the Capitals to the Nordiques, then AHL for a couple of years, IHL, AHL a couple of years, IHL again 3 more years. And then he ended up playing overseas. He ended up playing in Italy, back to the AHL for a couple of years. Then he ended up playing in Switzerland, back in Italy, back in the American Hockey League and in the East Coast Hockey League. And he ends his career with 34 NHL games. But you talked about the World Juniors. 7 games played, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points at the 1989
He was second on the Canadian team. I'm just looking at it here, Tony. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
He was second on the Canadian team in scoring in that World Junior. And that World Junior included Roenick, Medano, Bure, Mogilny, Fedorov, Leclerc, Solani. And he was 1 point behind Solani and Leclerc at that tournament. So that just tells you how good he was at that point. And I mean, he had a stellar junior career.
He definitely did.
He had two seasons over 120 points or over 113 points and 94 in his other. So I was surprised that he didn't end up getting, but he was only 5'10", but he played a lot bigger than that. Sometimes all it takes is you just got to get the opportunity, right? And if the coach doesn't like you enough or whatever, you don't get that break, and you end up getting buried. And he's one of those guys that was just on the cusp, obviously. But too bad.
Our thoughts and prayers obviously go out to his family and his loved ones, and the Sick Podcast extends our deepest sympathies. And it's always hard when you talk about the passing of people that or that may have touched you in some way, shape, or form. And it's pretty harder when you're pretty much at the same age of those who are passing, and it scares you quite a bit. All right, okay. Why don't we get to some phone calls? We can open up the lines right now at 1-888-585-7425, 1-888-585-SICK. It's now time for You Called.
You Called. Presented by Playground.
All right. Tonight's game in a nutshell, the line of Aho, Svechnikov, and Teravainen absolutely ate up and spit out the line of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. It was a difficult night at the office for them. Carolina, they put Montreal in a little bit of trouble. Armia got bumped off the puck, and Goulet got bumped off the puck on the same play, which ended up leading to Jesper Fast's goal to put the Carolina Hurricanes up by a score of 3-2 at the time. Carolina seemed to win all the key faceoffs in this hockey game tonight. They seemed to get a big net front presence, deflect pucks, tip pucks, jump on loose pucks. In a nutshell, even though the Canadians battled back and they were down 2-0 and they tied it at 2, and even though the Canadians were down 3-2 and they tied it at 3, Carolina wanted it more tonight. And in the end, they were compensated. They win the game by a score of 5-3 and a hat trick by Svechnikov. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
Hey, Tony, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well. Say hi to my buddy Grant McCagg of Recruits and Recruits.ca, and you can pick up the publication for less than $3.50 a month. It's less than $50 a year for your one-stop shop, articles, mock drafts, expertise, interviews that he does with players. He talked about an interview he did with Jaden Strubel. List goes on and on. Check it out. And check out his podcast, too, the Recruits Draftcast podcast.
On your stuff. I was at the game tonight, and I was with my buddy, and there was about 6 minutes to go, and I pulled up the stats. Suzuki was a -3. Caulfield, Slafkovsky was a -2, and we were tied at 3. And I turned to my buddy, and I said, hey, you know what? All things considering, if they tie this thing and we walk away, and I told you before the game started that your top line would be a -7, would you take the point? And he said, hell yeah. So we were close, and, indicative of this team, they keep fighting, right?
Yeah, so are you a Montrealer, or do you live in Carolina?
So I grew up in the West Island, but I moved to the States in 99, Dallas for a couple of years, and I've been in Raleigh since 2002. Actually, I live just north of Raleigh in Wake Forest.
And how has Raleigh been treating you?
Fantastic.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I wasn't expecting the first call to come from Raleigh. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So you saw the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup.
I did, and I was also in Dallas when Dallas had their run too. So
wow, good for you. So you saw more cups than if you would have you saw more cups than you would have if you would have stayed in Montreal.
No, that's not true. I was around. I'm 55, so
okay.
I was around and I saw a few.
Yeah. No, I get it. But you left when for the States?
80. Well, let's see, 98. I was in Ottawa actually when Ottawa first had.
Okay, so you left in 98 for the States. So you would not have seen the Canadians win any cups after you left. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
No, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Therrien in the mustard suit and putting Bill Lindsay out to take a draw. Was that against Carolina?
That was against Carolina, yes.
And they went on and won the cup?
Yeah, they went on and won the cup. Okay. And that was the turning point of the series, right? Because
I thought they had them.
That was a big turning point in that series.
Yeah.
The Bill Lindsay draw.
Actually, it was in one of the first games that the Habs won during that playoff run. The same guy I went with tonight. Gentlemen, I need your help. I'm sitting in a car with my 21-year-old daughter and my 19-year-old son, and they're both Hurricanes fans, and I have failed as a parent. What can I do to switch them over? I need them to switch allegiances.
Tell them they're a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
guys, I'll let you go.
No, but hold on a second, please. Don't let me go for a second because I won't keep you on too much longer. But I'll say this. You know, there's worse things in life than being a Carolina Hurricanes fan. I love their coach. I love their coach. I love the way Rod Brindamore communicates. I love the way he sees the game. I love the way he preaches. I love the way he's into it. I love his energy. I love the way he has his team playing. I think he's one of my 3 favorite coaches in hockey. I'm going to tell you that right now. Rod Brindamore. They got some very, very talented players on that team. They got some real good ingredients. I think they might need a little bit more sandpaper if they want to go to distance. And I think they're going to need to have more consistent goaltending.
Goalie.
Yeah, but you want Jake Allen?
No. Well, we've talked about it in the past, right? Teams take on the identity of their coach. And
Jake Allen for Kotkaniemi. Jake Allen for Kotkaniemi.
That ship sailed.
Hey, so what do you? But before I let you go here, Jimmy, what do you think? So if I were to walk into Raleigh, the arena, and I would poll 10 fans, and I would ask them what they think of Jesperi Kotkaniemi, what do you think they would tell me?
Yeah, they like him down here.
They like him, eh?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, and these, the pressure isn't on, right? He wasn't a high, as far as the Hurricanes fans are concerned, he wasn't a high draft pick, right? So that pressure's off. And then to what Grant said earlier, Aho's a pretty good player. He's surrounded with really good players around here.
Yeah.
Right? And when he came in, he wasn't he wasn't the signee that was going to get him somewhere, right? He was just I think his first year, wasn't he like the 4th center?
Yep.
Right. And he slowly has kind of played up. So, and he's responded accordingly. So I think he's, I don't think he's the sort of guy that's ever going to score 40 or 50 goals, but I think he's the sort of guy that'll consistently get you stuff in the high 20s. I don't know. Grant, what do you think?
I say this. I say the next time you see Teuvo Teravainen, tell him, say, Teuvo, my buddy Tony in Montreal went to a hockey pool with his buddy Senior Terry. And Senior Terry asked Tony to show up because he thought Tony was an expert in hockey pools. And Senior Terry asked Tony, who should I take with X pick in my pool? And he got to his pick, and I looked at him, and I said, go with Teravainen. And Teravainen's got 21 points in 36 games, which is not bad. But his centerman, Aho, has 39 points in 33 games, and that's more like it. Seth Jarvis, Neshkash, Bunting, and Nason all have more points than Teuvo Teravainen. So Senior Terry is not very happy with me right now. And every time I see him, he says that Teravainen pick is really killing my pool. I said, Terry, what can I tell you? Appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks so much for calling.
Yeah, take care.
Have a good one, my man. All right, there you have
Maybe
it. That was
Teravainen's nickname is Terry as well. You ever think of that?
That could very well be. Yeah. Why don't we take a look at a couple of questions here, and then we'll say good night. Habs media talk about Lane Hudson as if he's the next Bobby Orr. No, Habs media talk about Lane Hudson as a guy who has the potential to probably be the best player from that draft. Probably. He has that potential, right? I have a question. Why is Montembeault, who signed a big contract, sitting on the bench? Because he can't play every game. And they're going to play 3 games and 4 nights travel included. And by the way, don't you want Caden Primo to play some games too? Don't you want Caden Primo to improve?
I don't consider that to be a big contract. What's he making, like the league average, or
3.15, below the average for goalies?
Below the league average.
Yeah.
So that's not a big contract.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not a big contract. You're right.
But they've got 3 goalies, and they can't send Primo to the minors because he'll probably get picked up. So what do you do? I mean, I was a little surprised that they started Primo again. You almost think that it's leading to, they're showcasing maybe I don't like it's going to be Allen or Primo that gets dealt, I think, at this point. And I know you're on the record as saying that you think it'll be Allen, right?
I don't see why you would give up on Caden Primo.
Well, I also don't think that a team that's looking for goaltending is going to roll the dice on a kid that's unproven either, right? I mean, they're a team that needs a guy to come in and hopefully start for them. I don't see them paying any kind of a price for Primo. No. So it's got to be Allen. That's the trade chip if they do trade one of the. I think Montembeault stays, and it's likely Allen that if they fall out of the race here, Allen will be the guy that goes. I'm pretty sure.
Grant, before we say goodnight, and that'll happen probably in the next minute or so, who's caught your attention so far at the World Juniors, and what's the next thing that you're going to be paying special close attention to at that tournament?
Well, we had a draft cast today, and I did a feature on Celebrini, who obviously he's just scouts are pretty wowed about this kid's complete game. I have not seen a more complete center in his draft year since Sidney Crosby, and he's very close. There's a lot of similarities to these two guys, and I don't throw that name out there lightly, but when I do, it tells you just how good this kid is, just complete in every regard. No weaknesses to his game. Whoever gets him is going to win playoff series, a lot of them, because he's going to be their first line center. He's going to be their captain likely, and he's going to win at playoff time.
Wow. That's a pretty big endorsement for the guy who most have touted as going number one, if not pretty much everyone has him going number one in the draft right now, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's no question now. A little earlier on when he wasn't playing and this Layev kid came into the KHL and was playing 20 minutes a game, 6'6" defenseman. I thought, well, maybe, if he's the next Hedman, but I mean, Celebrini since then has stepped into the NCAA. He's one of the best players, if not the best player at NCAA. He's the best player on Canada's World Junior team, and he's 17 years of age. So
pretty cool.
He's the guy.
Grant, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon, and everyone give a watch to the Sick Podcast Draftcast, Recruits Draftcast podcast with Grant McCagg and Shane Gomo. All right. Thanks, bud. Have a good one. And listen, probably not going to talk to you here over the next couple of days. It's I want to wish you and yours a very healthy 2024. The rest really doesn't matter all that much, my friend.
Same to you, Tony, and have a great New Year in Portugal.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Thanks to everyone watching, and thanks, of course, to Accent Insurance Solutions, to Playground, to Energy Transportation Group, and, of course, to Labit at TB. For Agnello, Sammy, and Juliana at Master Control, I'm Marinaro. The Sick Podcast will be back tomorrow night, same time, same place, with Matt O'Hayan right here. Subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about it. It's pretty sick. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.